Going to be by Vikram Sharma from Biomechanics on Biomechanics and Spinal Instrumentation. Vikram?
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Moore. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
This thing on? Yeah.
I don't think you need it.
I don't think I need it. Okay.
Is it okay if I walk around? Oh, one more thing before Vikram starts. I'd just like to say also this is being live streamed on YouTube. So we have. So essentially, this is an international conference because it's being live streamed. There are people from other countries that are watching this. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that, yeah, we are live streaming this for people who registered who couldn't be here in person. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, well, you guys look very tired today. It looks nice early start to the day. So can you guys all do me a favor? And let's all stand up real quick, please. Deep breath in, reach for the stars, and out through the mouth all the way down. One more time. And back down. All right, now shake it out again. All right, we're ready. All right, we're ready to go. So for those of you who do not know me, please take a seat. Yeah, you're good. My name is Vikram Sharma, and I am a sales consultant for Biomechanics Spine. A little bit about myself. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. So if you look at the map of the United States, Ohio is quite literally the heart of the country. It was during my time in Ohio, I went to The Ohio State University, where are my Buckeyes at? No Buckeyes in the room? OH? Hey! During my time at Ohio State, I studied neuroscience, and I went back and got my master's in business. After my education, I decided I wanted to blend my passion for neuroscience and my interest in business, and I ended up joining a company known as Biomechanics. So at this time, I can't do this presentation on my own, so I'd like to welcome Ian Karras. Please give Ian a big round of applause. Thank you, Ian, for being a good sport. All right, so Ian's going to be my assistant today. So we're going to go through the three major functions of the spine. Ian's going to help me with each one of these, and hopefully after that we have a better understanding of why we might instrument in the future. So the three major functions, first it's motion, weight transfer, and then protection of the neural elements. So Ian, let's start with motion here. All right, so first thing, let's talk about the biomechanics, which is basically the movement, study of movement in the body. So Ian, right there, has a plank, which is going to demonstrate a simple lever system. So if you look at a vertebra, it's going to be a simple lever. If you look at the wood block, it's going to be your vertebra. The discs and the facets are going to be your fulcrum, right? And we're going to move this a little bit more anterior. And then you can see Ian's hands are kind of like the muscle movement, the muscle attachment, the activation. And then you have the passive restraints, which are basically your ligaments. So this is critical to understand, and this might give us a little bit more of an understanding of why we might instrument. Really show the flexion and extension on there, Ian, if you don't mind. There you go. You can see how the facet kind of move, and the disc is moving with the flexion and extension. Any questions? All right, let's keep moving. So next we're going to have weight transfer. All right, so Ian, what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate how a lot of the weight is transferred in a functional unit of the spine. Say we have 100 kgs going through. 80 of those kgs are going to go through the anterior column. The remaining 20 are going to go through the posterior elements. So Ian, why don't you hold this chair as close as you can up to your chest. You're going to notice that when I push down, he's still got a very good grip of that chair. However, Ian, let's move it away from you a little bit more. All right, now let's see how much. Oh, there you go. A little bit more work is required by a spine. Here, let's turn around to the side so you can see it. A lot more work is required to keep that spine erect. So you'll notice that as you increase the distance away from the body, more work is required from the spine, and thus, a lot of my friends back in the United States, they enjoy keeping this distance, if you know what I mean. All right, last but not least, let's talk about protection. Very straightforward. Your spine is quite literally a bony cage around the neural elements. And then you also have these ligaments, which are basically like rubber bands, which help prevent excessive motion. All right, so this is a great picture because it illustrates that idea that I'm talking about. You have an accident. I think this illustrates the man in the middle. It's kind of like your neural elements. The car might be total, but the person inside still is very safe. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about spinal instability. So now that we've covered biomechanics, instability might make a little bit more sense. I have a very long-winded quote by White in Punjabi. I'm not going to really worry about that, but what I will say is that instability can be described in just this one slide here. So right here I have a deformity. Whoops. Right here on the bottom right, you can see a deformity. That's a certain type of instability. You might have a traumatic injury, which causes instability, a degenerative disease, which may cause instability in the patient, a pathology such as cancer, and then lastly, an iatrogenic or post-surgical instability. That is probably the most unfortunate instability that we see. So how do we treat these instabilities? I'm just a rep, I'm just a sales consultant, I am not a surgeon, but in my opinion, the best correction has two primary goals, and that is a decompression, whether that's indirect or direct, and then a restoration of the original stability via instrumentation or arthrodesis of the body. All right, so there's a couple of different types of instrumentation we can apply. We can have a buttress plate with an interbody, such as an ACDF or an anterior lumbar. Nowadays, we are seeing some disc replacements. This kind of comes and goes, where you remove the degenerative disc, the painful disc, and replace it with a prosthesis, which allows that movement to continue. This is thought to reduce the risk of adjacent segment disease. I don't know how the data is looking for that. And then neutralization plate, say you do a lateral corpectomy, you have this plate that's going to help with the axial load and prevent normal bending. And then a posterior tension band is really going to help with Wolff's Law. You load bone to grow bone. And then lastly, bridge fixation. We see these a lot with burst fractures to help that anterior column heal in a traumatic incident. So there's a lot of different materials we can use for these constructs, but in my opinion, there are three primary criteria we really have to look at. First is being elasticity. What is the modulus of elasticity? How flexible is this material when a force is applied? How does the imaging look on this material? Is it radio-opaque? Is it radiolucent? Can you use it in an MRI? And lastly, is it biocompatible? Does it integrate with the body, or is it completely rejected? So I have a couple of these different products that we most commonly see. And now it's interesting. I want to open it up to the floor if you guys don't mind. I have PEEK here, and my curiosity is for your anterior cervical surgeries. Do you folks use PEEK? Do you use titanium? Do you use some sort of allograft or autograft? And I'm curious to why you might choose.
So for me, I started my career with bone graft from the hip, which required a separate incision and pretty painful for the patient, but it showed that cadaver bone was okay. So cadaver bone then became the preference. There's only one way to get cadaver bone, however. You need a cadaver. And so when PEEK and other synthetic implants became available, I switched to them. And I use PEEK primarily because in looking at the different varieties of implants currently, I think that the combination more closely mimics bone, and its availability and its variability, I think is quite good. So that's kind of where my practice is at, or inner body graft in that regard.
Dr. Patel, you were shaking your head when you talked about PEEK.
I personally use allograft. It's worked well for me, my hands. I think it uses well, and it's also cheaper. So, healthcare in the United States, all about efficiency, and whenever we make innovation, it has to be better or cheaper. I always tell, whenever I'm doing R&D, if you make something better, it's more expensive. It's hard for people to use, especially hospitals, to approve. So, I use it for that reason. It works just as well as the, and it cost points significantly less. And I really have issues with it.
Does anybody use titanium in the audience? No. Dr. Karras, do you have anything to say? Dr. Owen?
Thanks for that. I think Robert and I have gone through the same kind of experience in terms of the kind of material. I just have to add that painful thing about the graft from the hip. I've had the privilege of getting a graft from the hip, and it's excruciating. All the pain that you have, forget the neck pain, it's that hip pain that hurts most. So the fact that there's a PEEK graft available, it's very useful. Now, in this country, we don't have access to bone banks, and we don't have cadaveric bone. So if you have to get graft, it has to be from the patient. But as it is, our vendors have managed to get the costs of some of the grafts that we peak downwards. And if you look at the operating time and so on and so forth, it has come in quite useful. So it is competitive. So PEEK has come, is quite popular.
So those of you who use PEEK, are you guys concerned about the biocompatibility of PEEK at all?
I don't have data to confirm, but since I've been using it, I haven't had infection or that so far. So it works very well for me.
Thank you. So next, I'm going to have Ian kind of walk us through some of the rods that we have up here. Yeah, let's start with that one, Ian. So right there, we're going to demonstrate a 4.5 titanium rod. So Ian, give that a good little bend. Let's see if you can do it. There you go. Look how strong he is. All right, so that's a 4.5 millimeter titanium rod. All right, Ian, pick up the next one. It's going to be a 5.5 millimeter titanium rod. Yeah, there you go. Nice.
What did you have for
All right, Ian, let's see if you can pick up the 1/4 inch rod that's 6.35 and see if you can bend that.
Here's the phone book next.
All right. I don't want to hear. What about the cobalt chrome? Try the cobalt chrome rod. Oh, it's tough. So next, my question is, do you prefer cobalt chrome or titanium, and for which patients, and what is the diameter that you typically use? Any of the surgeons attending out there?
Dr. Geller? I'll get.
So I think for me, it depends on the indication, right? So if you're fusing someone who's got a burst fracture, that's different than a grade 1 spondylolisthesis. So I think that the rigidity of the rod, goes with the indication of the surgery. So scoliosis or a large deformity, I tend to use something like cobalt chrome. I don't use 1/4 inch steel anymore. For something like a degen, then it's usually a titanium alloy. And the diameters are all variable with these systems now, but usually it's a 4.5 or 5.5 rod. Actually, I went through a phase where I was using PEEK rods, and I found that to be extremely helpful for patients with a single 1-level disease. But that's sort of fallen out of favor, I think, just because of various commercial matters. But that's sort of how I go about it when I do. And Dr. Patel agrees with me. Everything I say, basically, so it's good.
It's always important to agree with you.
Good. Dr. Moore, would you like to add to that? I know you are a proponent who does not use a lot of cobalt chrome. Can you tell me why?
Yeah, I don't use Cobalt Chrome that often. No, there are certain instances that I will use Cobalt Chrome. I just think it's too stiff, personally. Whenever I've used Cobalt Chrome, I think with long constructs, due to the incidence of PJK, the stiffer the construct, the more likely you are to have those adjacent segment kind of problems. But I do like Cobalt Chrome for satellite rods for PSO. That's where I think nice Cobalt Chrome rod would be, because whenever you do osteotomy or something like that, the incidence of rod breakage goes up. So in those cases, Cobalt Chrome is my preference.
Thank you. All right, let's give Ian a big round of applause for being a good sport today. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this organization. I see, looking out in the audience, it is pretty amazing how much progress this organization has made. So with that, I'd like to say Asante Sana. Did I pronounce that right? All right. And what other questions do you guys have? Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.